So, welcome to this episode of Experts React. So, I'm here with Mark Good, and we've just finished a week of GPT Dreaming, which was, I think, 27 speakers, 14 sessions, just an amazing event. So, I thought I'd try and catch up with Mark and let's have a discussion about what we thought the key takeaways were.
Yeah,
So,
it was huge, and I mean, compared to last year, what we did in 2023 with GPT Dreamin, the speakers grew substantially, the number of sessions grew, the quality of content grew. I mean, huge shout out to speakers if any of you are watching this, because everyone really spent a lot of time,
yeah.
put a lot of detail into presentations, and that's why we put the presentations actually with the playlist. So if you go through and watch back the playlist, you can click through and get those. Just a really massive improvement this year. So I cannot wait to see what we get for the next session.
So I think it's a couple of things. It's one, obviously, there's a lot more happening now. I think when we first did GPT in 23, that people were still like, oh, I'm not quite sure what's happening, and there were people there who actually were doing things. They were already proving it out. There were use cases. So I think there was more content. But I think the point you made was there were a lot of speakers put a lot of time and effort into it because and they're experts around AI, if anyone can be called an expert. But I think we also had a number of sessions where we had multiple speakers. I think that worked really well in terms of those discussions and people bouncing off each other.
Well, it's just so nice, right? If you sit and listen to one speaker talk, you can kind of get a little bit carried away with your thoughts, right? Because the human brain processes so much faster than speech. The speech, what is it? The speed of speech, I guess, in general. And so having multiple
Yeah.
speakers keeps it dynamic. It also brings a lot of layers to the conversation. And so if you go back and you watch any of the sessions with multiple speakers, especially even we had a couple panels where there was four speakers, it just brings so much more context to the conversation. And I think that's what enriched the sessions this year. Is you and I talked about it before we went on, and
Yeah.
we pushed really hard to get as many sessions with multiple speakers as possible. And I think we should continue that trend for the next time. It was just so rich.
Yeah. And I think as you say, it's more engaging. I think the other thing also, remember, we had three people from Salesforce speaking. Again, in 2023, I think Salesforce was sitting on the fence going, okay, we're not sure what the positioning is. But we had Vala, had Charlie Isaacs, and Jude, all, again, senior people in Salesforce. So, again, great to get their support.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think as we go forward, we'll just see more of that, more growth from the Salesforce support side. AI, the type of AI we're talking about here, the generative AI, the second wave, as Salesforce calls it, is really starting to seep into the ecosystem. And I'm going to date this video by saying that Copilot, Einstein Copilot, was just announced to be
Yeah.
available, so you can get that now. But it's not. I think people still think of Copilot as a chatbot tool that gets added onto the org. It's just so much more than that, and it's laying the foundation for what's going to be so much more than that. And I was thinking about it earlier, and before we jump on this call, I was thinking about how when when we had flows, when flow capability first came out, transitioning from process builder to flows, there was no flow Dreamin that started, right? That's not a thing.
No.
But AI, and that's why we have this event, AI is just so much more than that. It's still about automations. It's still about taking tasks that are repetitive and replacing certain pieces of that with artificial intelligence to do the work for us, to augment us. But it's just so far reaching, so far beyond flows and all the other previous automations that we've had access to. That's why we had the event. That's why it's so important. Salesforce knows it. They're leaning in. I think at this point, they've pivoted the entire company and everything is geared toward AI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they get it.
Yeah.
I mean, and they'll be representing every future GPT Dreamin. I'm certain of it.
But you've also got to bear in mind, Salesforce has been at AI for what, 10 years. So this is not just, oh, they've just arrived and gone, wow, what can we do? So they're building on a rich heritage, but they've also got all the partnerships in place. I mean, you look at the body of research that they're putting out, all the training courses, and obviously, they're now launching products. But there's a good, solid foundation there. So it's not like, how do we spin up a chatbot and pretend we're doing AI? As you said, I think it was Washington, D.C., world tour last year, the day obviously before that, they went, right, now we're all in on AI. I think everybody in marketing and Salesforce had a few sleepless weeks just trying to get everything reoriented. But you'll now see that you're really seeing it hitting home. So I mean, if you're part of the Salesforce ecosystem, you really are in the right place. The training's there, the product's there, people around you are all thinking about this. Um, but I guess it takes me to my next point, which is, and it came out a couple of times in some of the sessions, which is we're all going, this is amazing, we're using it, but we're actually in the minority here. There are a lot of organizations aren't ready, haven't even engaged. A lot of individuals who go, well, what is this thing? Maybe it's just a cycle that will go through a bubble. We'll miss it. We don't need to get involved. We'll wait for the next bubble.
Yeah, it's true. I caught that too. There were several speakers, including the keynote from Vala, who mentioned that those who are watching the presentations, and if you go and watch the playback, you're still in the minority. There is still such a
Yeah,
large segment of the ecosystem that does believe that this is sort of still really hypey, and on some level, it is, right, because we're all getting excited about
yeah,
the future, but it's going to take a little bit of time to develop and deploy and adopt and train and all of the pieces that need to come together before the future is fully the present, right? And so during this interim period, there's a lot of opportunity to be skeptical and really not lean into the new tech, not learn the new skills, not learn the new apps, not just sort of sit on the sidelines. And I think that's a mistake. I mean, I think we're going to see
yeah,
it play out over the next few years. Any company, any organization, any person, any partner, any ISV, whoever, anybody in the ecosystem, if you're not leaning into AI in some kind of way, learning some skills, deploying some products,
yeah.
just putting together a proof of concepts, just experimenting on your own, whatever, something. If you're not doing that, those who are going to be compounding skills ahead of you. And fast forward a few years, you're going to look back and wonder why you're falling behind. And it's just something. It's just one of those
Yeah.
things, right? But yeah, at Dreamin, it was mentioned several times. If you're watching, you're one of the few. You're still the minority, and it's just such an opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, and I think I talked about the GPT divide. GPT divide. I mean, I wrote a blog for Forbes article for Forbes that just came out, talking about, and I think this divide is actually very real. I mean, if you're an individual, if you're not, as you say, you're not picking up the skills, at least in the early stages, at least you understand what's possible. That's the first thing. If you're an organisation, I think they're actually being on the wrong side of the GP divide is significantly more important because actually, if you aren't thinking about which workloads that you can actually offload to AI. If you're not starting that work, it's going to take a while to establish it, prove it, understand what technologies are going to work, whether you have the right data. It's going to take a while to get going. But
Eh,
I think the last thing we said was if there's an organisation saying actually we're not doing anything with AI, your most innovative employees who probably are looking at what we're doing now are going to start looking to work for other companies, and you'll start losing the most innovative talent because and that probably is the most significant of all of these issues.
Yeah, that's so true. I talk all the time with AI Force trainees about the importance of your skill set and talking about your skill set,
Yeah,
promoting yourself. And they're going to be leaning in and looking for companies who are looking for those skill sets. So yeah, there's going to be a migration over time for AI trained personnel or personnel who have the skill sets that are needed to know how to deploy, find that sweet spot that you talk about. That's a reference. That's a reference to a session. So go watch that session. uh, what was that one? Building GPT apps, I think it was. Mastering custom GPT apps. So if you see that title, watch that one. Uh, there's going to be a migration. The battle's already happening in the large tech organizations, but that battle's
yeah,
going to trickle down into all small and medium-sized companies all over the place. Are there still companies out there that are just for the first time launching websites? Probably. There's probably companies out there who launched websites, but now are first launching an app. Like just imagine this. The same thing's going to happen with AI technology, GPT technology, deployed within an organization. You use it behind the scenes. Externally, you produce products for customers that use AI. You know this at elements.cloud, and there's gonna be a battle. And I think at some point soon we're going to start seeing all of the technical skills being listed on job requirements, technical skills that would be required for
Yeah.
understanding and knowing how knowing how to deploy AI solutions. Um, and those are going to eventually become, I think, maybe crazy to say, some of the highest paying positions inside the ecosystem.
But I think that yeah, those are the highest paid positions. But even at other levels in organisations, if you don't understand what this technology is doing, it's so even if you're sitting there going, okay, well, I've no idea how that email got generated. It's AI. What's that? That's not a conversation you should be having. It's almost like saying I should plug my laptop into the power to get some electricity. And you're going, what's electricity again? It's like, okay. I know I'm taking it to extremes, but the point is that as organisations start implementing AI in different areas, not understanding what's happening, b how to use it, how and c how to operationalize it is going to set you back in terms of your career. And so, if we think about the events we just had, best way of getting up to speed is that all the recordings are on demand. So you go to GPT Dreamin, go to the website. There's a link there. Click the register button, and it will take you to the two YouTube playlists. One for 2023, um, which actually seems such a long time ago in AI terms, and then 2024, which is the most recent one. So you can get to those. So go to the website. The other bit of fun we had was we had we took all the transcripts from the sessions. It's about 450 pages in total, and we used that to ground a custom GPT. So you can now go and ask the event any questions, like what are the key themes, or what were some interesting quotes. I mean, you can ask any questions you want because it's got all of the everything that was said during the event.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I think this is such a testament to the technology where we are now. We have a week-long virtual event with all of these speakers, with all of this great content, and what a challenge it is for the ecosystem to consume that, right? I mean, you really got to dedicate. It's like 10 and a half hours of video, something like that, and you really got to sit through the sessions. So now you have a tool that's going to go through the transcript, and if you have a question, you have a thought about a session, or you want to tie two ideas together
Yeah,
from multiple sessions, you have a chatbot that can do that. Of course, so now you need ChatGPT Plus to access it, but it's out there, it's available, and you can use it. And then something that sets GPT Dreamin apart from all the other conferences is AI and the tech that and the tool sets and the skill sets are changing so rapidly that it feels like last year's session maybe a little bit stale. And I wonder how long it'll be before this session stale. What I like though is as we progress, it does seem to get a little bit more meatier, and it does seem like the information is going to have more staying power as we go. So I think the next session is just going to be building off this session. So I do think it's really important that everyone binge all 10 and a half hours of it, get all the information, take notes,
yeah,
bookmark, whatever, save the chat, or save that the custom GPT chat, use it as a resource. I'll be using that chatbot as a resource for the next 6 months, to be
yeah,
honest. And then what was the other thing? Yeah, just so much. So I expect we're gonna have more sessions next time. There's gonna be much deeper dives. So
yeah,
the information that you gain from this session as you watch through all the videos is just going to be compounded in the next, and that's going to be the theme going forward. And I'll always say it year after year, just this compounding of knowledge. So start early. You don't want to wait a few years and then try to go back and watch it. It won't be 10 hours at that point. It'll be 100 to 1,000 hours of video content that you'll have to consume just to catch up with where we are now, and all the underlying technology. I mean, there were some really great detailed sessions there. I mean, speakers went into such detail on just the fundamentals of language models. I mean, this is stuff that's beyond even Salesforce's Trailhead, and you're missing out if you don't go watch that. So I really highly recommend thumb through all the sessions, watch it on 1.5, 2x, whatever your preference is. Thank you,
yeah,
YouTube, for
yeah.
that.
Do that.
And do it on a flight, do it in the car, whatever. Just consume it, get it all.
It's So we need your feedback for how we shape the next event. So typically events, people go, everyone submits their ideas for sessions, and then you have to pick the best of those. We've gone from the other way, going, we think there are some foundational sessions which we need to make sure are part of the next GPT Dreaming. But we've also, in the feedback, we've given a list of a whole series of different topics, and we'd like you to go and tell us which ones of those you think are important, and then we'll go out and find the best speakers in the ecosystem, the experts who can actually present on those topics. So again, we're just trying to do things a little bit differently here, rather than just going, okay, there's a random set of presentations based on what people submitted.
Yeah,
So again, that feedback form will be is on the website, so you can get to it from there.
yeah, and please do go fill that out. Not only that, but we also have the opportunity to for you to fill out if you'd like to volunteer for the next event. As the events grow and we have more speakers and just more things to do, it's with Elements.cloud and AI Force training, it's kind of growing beyond our capacity here. So any opportunity you have to volunteer, help us out with anything behind the scenes would be excellent. There's a fantastic group that is already there and doing tons of stuff. So if you feel inclined and you love what you see and you want to be a part of it, just head on in and drop your info there as well. And definitely do propose some of your favorite topics for next time. There's as the technology grows, as the different areas, as there are more areas that we can dive into, we really want to sort of focus in on the key areas that are most important to the ecosystem. And so, that feedback is going to be really important for us, and it's just going to make the event so much more valuable, which surprisingly it can be next time.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's finish off. What was the one session which surprised you, or you went, "Wow, I never thought about that. I learned something so completely new."
Well, I'll tell you what. The session that caught me the most was actually the last one, which is really surprising to me. I'm so in the weeds on all of the tech, reading white papers, exploring. Oftentimes, I find myself not sitting back and really thinking about AI from an ethical rollout perspective, from a sustainability rollout perspective, and I'm really geared towards, you know, that the nitty gritty exploration and what are the limits of this thing. And so I kind of fall behind a little bit on the side that is most important to Salesforce, the trust, the everything that they talk about within the trust layer in general. And so Jude's final presentation as the capstone for the week really stuck out to me. It just being present for that and watching it through. He framed things in a very strong way to just make the case. Salesforce is already making the case, but just the importance and showing respect for the tech, making sure it gets deployed in the most responsible way, human in the loop. I think he even referenced it was at Salesforce, it wasn't human in the loop, it was human at the helm. So humans are actually doing the driving. That really stuck out to me. So a lot of great key points in that one. So if you get a little fatigued going through presentations and you want to jump to the last one, go consume that one by Jude. Yeah.
I think you need to start with Vala, though. I thought Vala did a great job setting the scene in terms of what's happening with AI and what's important for the rest of the week. So I think, as you say, I think bookend did really nicely in terms of Vala, Chief Digital Evangelist for Salesforce, who only spent his time writing, reading, presenting, has got a good broad perspective. We went into quite a lot of detail in some of the sessions as we went through, and then as a great session from Jude at the end. Can't wait for the next one, but we really need people's feedback so we make sure we shape it correctly. And I got a feeling next one sometime after Dreamforce. I think there'll be a lot of announcements for Dreamforce, and anything before then doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's going to be such a busy time. There's going to be a lot to talk about the next one. Yeah, go ahead and give feedback. We definitely need that. And also, most importantly, too, is if you get into the sessions and you're loving it, just share it with someone. Just share it with your network. This is free. All this content is free. The speakers have donated their time. We have donated our time to put the event together. So, the goal here is just to spread the word, get the reach, make sure everybody has the same opportunity, talking about ethical rollout of AI, the same opportunity to learn the same information. And that's what GPT Dreamin is all about. So please do share.
So the marketing team said I could keep this nice sparkly t-shirt if you subscribed. Subscribe. I love the t-shirt. Subscribe. Do it now.